Okay, so in this one, I'm going to talk about why I am a Nvidia buyer and why I've been a Nvidia buyer, why I'm going to stay a Nvidia buyer, and why that's actually a really bad thing. So watch the video. I know this is a powder keg, okay, folks. I know that the Nvidia people are gonna hate on me if I say anything negative about Nvidia. The AMD people are just absolutely voracious. I've dealt with that before. But I think this is important, and I think there's a lot to talk about. And I think there's more to it than just fanboyism and all that. So I have been a Nvidia guy since actually the very first expensive computer I bought of my own was a Alienware laptop with an AMD video card in it. And it was I think it was a Radeon 9000. It was the very first 128 meg video card in a laptop, if I remember right. So the computer was a Pentium 4 3.06. It was the first processor. It was I believe it was called the Pentium 4 Northwood. It was the very first processor that had what we came to know today as hyperthreading, which has actually apparently now just been getting discontinued. But it was the first hyperthreaded processor. So one core, two threads. It was kind of the precursor to dual core that we have today, or quad core, wherever the heck we are at this point. And it had a 128 megabyte Radeon 9000. It was the same card as the 64. The only difference was it had the extra RAM. And then after that, the next computer I bought after that I think the next one I bought was also a laptop. I bought the Dell Inspiron. I think it was called the Inspiron 9200. It was the cheap version of the XPS, and I believe that laptop had I think that laptop had the GeForce 6800. I think I had the low end version, the GS. And then I think I bought one with I think I bought the XPS later, like a year later, and that one had maybe I think like a 7900 low end again, the 7900 GS. I never had the really high end card. And then I think the next one I finally built a desktop with a pair of SLI 320 megabyte 8800 GTSs. And I mean, you can see the progression here. The only time I ever, in that period of time that I ever tried something else, I did have, at one point in time, the first time I ever owned two high-end builds simultaneously, I had I think I had two Core 2 quad systems. One had maybe a GTX 280 or a 275, something like that, maybe a 260, 270, 280, something like that. And then the other one had a Radeon HD 4890, I think, or no, I think I had the 4870 back then. And that was the only time that I ever had current gen AMD hardware in one of my builds. I've just always been a Nvidia guy since my second computer. And at this point, see, back then it was much more even rivalry than it is today. Today, Nvidia is just slaughtering AMD. It's kind of crazy. Like it's really crazy. But today, when I look at the purchase decision, I do have a 6800 XT in my possession, and it's that your company is making not the best product for the market when somebody like me who has the money for your product literally buys it out of curiosity. Like I literally bought the card as just something to screw with out of curiosity. And yeah, with me, when I look at the choice to buy I've looked at the Arc. I considered buying an A770. I looked at the 7900 XTX, and I've even seen some good deals. And but my problem is, whenever I look at those cards, I look at, okay, what am I giving up though? So I look at, particularly for me, uh, is CUDA. So any system that I put that in, I'm going to sit there. I'm going to think to myself, okay, well, the Nvidia card is definitely better for creative work, and so any system that I build where I'm going to want to do any sort of encoding with Adobe, using the CUDA rendering with Premiere, any of my Plex builds, my server builds, where I might want it to do what do you call it, transcoding. And I looked. I've actually got. I wanted to put an AMD card in that system. I actually did, but when I researched it, the AMD card that I had performed so much lower than even a substantially lower NVIDIA card, it just wasn't even worth considering. Now, I grant you that if all you care about is just gaming, the like say a 6800 XT versus a 3080, if you can get enough better of a deal, or at least as good of a deal, it might be worth it to buy the Radeon card. But I mean, I've been buying 3080s as low as like 200. I think the cheapest one I bought was 275, and I've been getting them for like 275 to 300 for like 2 years now. And so at those prices, you're not going to get much lower. And so if I have in front of me the option of a NVIDIA card, I've got a 3080 on one hand, and I've got a 6800 XT on the other hand. And let's say the 3080. I mean, let's say, okay, so let's apply some NVIDIA tax. Let's say the 3080 is, $300, and I can get the 6800 XT for 250. I'm still going to buy the NVIDIA card because I'm just giving up too much. And so now we get to the next thing on that, which is that this is not the world I want to live in. Honestly, as an enthusiast, especially as an enthusiast that has the money to buy top-end products. In fact, I've got the money to own 2, maybe even 3 top-end products if I really wanted to. I think it would be so cool to have equally competing NVIDIA card, AMD card, and Intel card. So, maybe next generation have like, say, a 5090 in one build, like say have a 5090 in a 14900K, and let's say a Radeon, 8950 XTX in a Ryzen 9, what was it, 9950X 3D or something like that, and then maybe like a random Intel Arc card, and have them equally compete, and have them both offer, have all three offer something different, but overall each as good as the other. None of those cards being, back how it was when you had the like say the Radeon 7970 versus the GeForce GTX 680, or the GTX 280 versus the 4890. Like, I wish we could have that. That's the world I want to live in. Like, I'm not for Nvidia winning. I'm not for having, as somebody who wants the best product, I want to be torn. You know what I'm saying? I want to be torn. Do I buy NVIDIA or do I buy AMD? I don't want it to be an instant choice. I have to buy the NVIDIA card. I'm giving up too much. I don't want that to be the case. It'd be cool if, maybe the NVIDIA card excelled in one, form of rendering with CUDA, but then AMD, did their own thing, and maybe they were better in another area. Maybe AMD is better in, I don't know, let's just say, whatever we have at that point, H268 or whatever the heck, and it was better at that. So you bought the AMD card because you wanted the highest quality, 4K, films, and with the smallest file size. I mean, I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, but it would be cool to actually have to choose, But and I think that this is partly the AMD fanboys' fault. The fact that you guys won't, I'm not, look, I want AMD to be able to produce a good product, but I'm not going to pity buy their product either. I might buy one out of curiosity like I did. I got a good deal. Let me be clear. I paid $100, I think, ish, for my 6800 XT. So let me be clear. I didn't go out and spend money on that card. I got a smoking deal on that card. I probably wouldn't have bought it otherwise. If I had to spend $350, $400 on 6800 XT, I mean, maybe for the purpose of testing for the channel, maybe, but in any case, that's the world I want to live in, and I really think that the AMD buyers need to tell AMD you want more, you want them to do better, you want them to give you better, and we're not getting that right now, and I don't know I don't know what to do about it. I don't know what to say about it, but it's not the world I want to live in. It's the world we do live in. So anyway, I hope you guys found this interesting, kind of my perspective on, what I've bought in the past, why I bought it, why I go the direction I do on my purchases. But anyway, thanks for watching the video.